night. Breakfast in bed and we'll never fight. Say I'm wrong when I know I'm right, but baby, I'd be lying. Only staying on for a day or two, pretending I'm too good to be true. Saying I'd write a song about you, but baby, I'd be lying. Everybody's gonna tell you.
It is fall, y'all! Yay! It's finally fall! Oh, stop barking at me! These dogs are not okay with this whole getup. They're not okay with it at all. Poor Moxie has been growing fit for like a half an hour. Pretty freaking great. Anyways, hi guys. It is fall. So excited. Let's pumpkin everything and just live like this forever. You know, minus the pandemic and half of us losing our jobs and some of us losing our health care and some people actually dying and, you know, it being an election year and, scrap that. Let's not live the way we've been living. Let's make a new way we've been living. Scratch that, reverse it, repeat. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyways, I am going to be reading Cows Can Moo, Can You? Get ready to cry because I know that some of you grew up on this book, which is Love You Forever, and if you've never read this book, it's such a tearjerker. I will be surprised if I make it through the whole thing. Anyways, and then I picked up this weird book called Grandpa's Teeth. So we'll get into this one too. Grandpa's Teeth. I hope they go on an adventure. And if we have a little time after that, and some of you are still here, oh my gosh, I'm just busting everything up. We'll do some more bedtime stories. So we'll see how much time we have to get through everything. But let's begin with Cows Can Moo, Can You? By Dr. Seuss. Okay. Spring has sprung, my fine friends. Come along, grab an arm. Let me take you on a tour of the Green Bean family's farm. We had to read a farm book. I'm dressed up like a scarecrow. All I'm doing is scaring the dog, so I'm just a scared dog, I guess. I don't know. There we go. Oh, a light! Aha! I was like, wondering why it was so frickin' dark in here. Hi, everyone who's coming in. The sun's barely up, and what do you know? The house lights are on with the rooster's first crow. He stretches his neck. He says, cock-a-doodle-doo. Does that sound like the way your day begins too? In the dairy parlor, the younger green beans are counting the cows to make milking machines. The machines go chuff chuff and the cows go moo moo. They clean udders beforehand and when they are through. Oh, and it gives for those of you who have no idea how to be on a farm, it gives instructions on what to do. Feeding the chickens is not all hard, just spreading grains and seed all over the yard. Nothing moves like a chicken or talks like one talks. Its claws go scritch-scratch, and its beak goes bok-bok-bok. And they're little dinosaurs. Those things are freaking weird. I'm I don't know. Chickens kind of freak me out, man. Like tiny little omnivores that eat the hell out of you if you die in front of them. Ooh. Pick you right clean. In the sheepfold, Mr. Greenbean shears the sheep's belly fleece. Then he shaves off the rest in one big neat piece. Mr. Greenbean tries to be gentle and quick so to never pinch skin or hurt or nick. Most sheep sound alike, the lamb, ram, and ewe. They all go ba, ba, and have woolly fleece too. Mrs. Greenbean places the wool on a table and pulls out the tags as much as she's able. Next she washes and dries it and cards out the knots. This task takes some time because the knots, there are lots. Then she spins the wool into a thick yarn, and that's when she uses them to knit greenbean mittens and hats. In the truck's gardens, tidy vegetable beds are lettuce and kale with tiny green heads. Underground carrots sprout, they're actually roots. Above ground, the pole beans put out their first shoots. Dean's hoe digs for weeds and scratches. The scarecrow is dressed in an outfit that matches. Although the scarecrow's wearing blue and red, and I'm wearing like blue and green, but whatever. See, there's the scarecrow. With tractor and tiller, Mr. Greenbean needs to ready the soil for the planting of seeds. Then Greenbean hitches up the manure spreader to fertilize the soil, make it richer and better. Suddenly, there comes a loud banging crunch. A bent tractor axle would be my best hunch, but Mr. Greenbean, being smarter than smart, calls the tractor shop to get a new part. With axle in place all shiny and new, there is one more thing Mr. Greenbean must do. He'll hook up the planter because, as he'll show, it will spit out the seeds in a nice, even row. There goes the planter, spit, 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 spit. It does the job quick, and it's neat about it. There's so many analogies in there. So many things that spit and are neat. We leave and come back on a dry summer day, and when it's time for the green beans to come bring in the hay, the sickle mower cuts down the field of tall hay, and then it's left out to dry for at least one more day. The hay rake swishes, it all goes to and fro to gather the hay into piles, like so. This long pile of hay, all good farmers know, goes by name. It's called a windrow. comes the baler with a loud rumbling roar. Picking hay into bales, that is easy to store. Vroom vroom goes the skid steer, as sister and brother stack up the bales, one top of the other.
Well, the liquid fire filled his lungs and his eyes silenced anymore. Right.
The dogs have successfully made it into the kitchen without screaming at me, so let's see how far this can last. I think they just haven't seen me yet. I think once they see me, they're going to start barking again. I don't think they like the hat. Everything's green and growing quite well, till midsummer comes and brings a dry spell. This means the green beans must now irrigate. They'll soak the dry soil after dark when it's late. Like a big garden sprinkler, the irrigator whips around to water crops with a whopping sound.
For the next few years, Dad was sick as a dog, but it made recovery just to spite the odds. The settlement came and we moved out of town, where the sky isn't heavy with refined clouds. Yeah, he's still alive.
Come fall, we return for the harvest and reaping. A date we all have looked forward to keeping. The combine does 2 of the harvesting jobs. It cuts down the corn stalks and cuts kernels off cobs. The auger picks up the kernels like so and shoots them down into the tall grain silo. The kernels rain down with a rat-a-tat-tat. They fill up the silo in no time like that. Let's check out the garden. The time, and now it's flown. See how the veggies have ripened and grown? Let's load up the truck. We must not delay, for didn't you know? Oops. Dug out of the, I missed a whole section. Dug out of the earth, or plucked from the vine, the green beans garden harvest was never so fine. It's Green Market Day! Hey, just think, after I get this done and I am still been drinking and in costume, I got like 4 hours of homework to do because, fuck yeah, college. As market day ends, the fond memories linger. The green beans are too tired to even lift a finger. Their noses sniff, sniff. Smells great. What is that? A farm fresh meal from... The Cat in the Hat. Ooh, and it has a glossary on what the words are. And that was Cows Can Moo, Can You? By Dr. Seuss. Okay. I am going to read I Love You Forever because I don't know if anybody else was read this as a kid, but this was like my favorite book for like 5 whole minutes, and I loved during this, and my mom would even get really choked up and she would read it to me, and it was like it was a thing. It was a thing. So we're gonna make this a thing. So, I've been putting off actually reading this book because I was actually like, oh my gosh, can I make it through without like being all sad? I don't know. We'll find out. Ooh, it's so fresh. It's a fresh book. A mother held her new baby and slowly rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she held him, she sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." My mom's over here. She's like, I used to read that to you. Yes, you did. You want to come say hi to everybody? No. Come say hi to everybody. She's walking away with a giant pint of ice cream because my mother is living her best life. She's waving at me. The baby grew. He grew and grew and grew. He grew until he was 2 years old, and he ran all around the house. He pulled all the books off the shelf. He pulled all the food out of the refrigerator, and he took his mother's wash and flushed it down the toilet. Sometimes his mother would say, "This kid is driving me crazy." But at nighttime, when the 2-year-old was quiet, she opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, looked up over the side of his bed, and if he was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be."
Yes, baby. You're always looking, my baby.
Yeah.
I've been thinking down my thoughts.
The little boy grew. He grew and grew and grew. He grew until he was 9 years old, and he never wanted to come home for dinner. He never wanted to take a bath, and when Grandma visited, he always said bad words. Sometimes his mother wanted to sell him to the zoo. Mom, if you're going to do a whole bunch of commentary, you might as well come over here and say it to the people. My mother's over here behind the camera, reenacting my 9-year-old self. But at nighttime, when he was asleep, the mother quietly opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of the bed. If he was really asleep, she picked up that 9-year-old boy and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." The boy grew. He grew and grew and grew. He grew until he was a teenager, and he found strange friends, and he wore strange clothes, and he listened to strange music, and sometimes his mother felt like she was in a zoo. But at nighttime, when that teenager was asleep, the mother opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, looked up over the side of the bed, and if he really was asleep, she picked up that great big boy and rocked him back and forth, and all the while she rocked, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. And that teenager grew. He grew and grew. He grew until he was a grown man. He left home and got a house across town.
What do you call a group of friends who wear the same jersey for good luck, no matter how old it is, and who support their team through thick and thin, week after week, as if the very season depended on it while drinking Miller Lite? You call it Miller time, all football season long. Here's to the original light beer.
But sometimes, on dark nights, the mother got into her car and crawled across town, and drove across town. And if all the lights in her son's house were out, she opened his bedroom window, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of his bed. And if that great big man was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. I promise you, if my mother tried to get into my room and rock me back to sleep while I'm 35 years old, she'd be in a home. I mean, I love my mom. Well, that mother, she got older. She got older and older. And one day she called up her son and said, you'd better come see me because I'm very old and sick. So her son came to see her. When he came in the door, she tried to sing the song. She sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. But she couldn't finish because she was too old and sick. The son went to his mother. He picked her up and rocked her back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he sang this song. I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my mommy you'll be. And when the son came home that night, he stood for a long time at the top of the stairs. Then he went into the room where his very new baby daughter was sleeping. He picked her up in his arms, and he slowly rocked her back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while he rocked her, he sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. And that concludes Love You Forever. And I might be kind of tearing up right now. So we got through it though, y'all. We got through the book that was like my kryptonite. Oh my God. Ah! That's such a hard book to get through without crying. Oh my word. It really is. Okay, let's do Grandpa's teeth. I've been robbed, we heard Grandpa shouting. It's a disaster. He was still shouting as Mom Agatha and I ran up the stairs. Should I take my tooth out for this?
Chase of the pills and the powder, corn liquor, women are the culprits to blame.
Grandpa's room was a mess, but to be honest, it was always a mess. He blamed Gump, his old dog, but Gump looked too old to me to make much of a mess. What was taken? Gasped Mom. Your VCR? Your television? Your gold-plated golfing trophy? No, said Grandpa. It's much more serious than that. It's my teeth. They've been stolen. The fact that I'm trying to do this with a list, while actually, like, if I could just take out my tooth, I would. Because, that would be funnier. But I just wouldn't have the same list. Now my mom's got all her teeth out for the night, so we could make her come read this book. Grandpa normally kept his teeth in a glass of water by the bed. The glass was still there, but the teeth were missing. You haven't swallowed them by mistake, have you? Asked Mom. Of course not, said Grandpa. Those teeth were special, handmade by the finest Swiss craftsman. Agatha looked at Mom and whispered, Why is Grandpa talking funny? You see how serious this is, moaned Grandpa. I never speak the same again. Are you sure you've looked everywhere? Asked Mom. Under the bed, behind the cabinet, in the drawers? Yes, said Grandpa with tears in his eyes. I've looked everywhere. Mom called the police. Officer Rate looked grave. We've done a thorough search of the room, the house, but we found nothing. At all, no teeth, no clues. Everyone was at home at the time of the theft, so how the thief got in and without being seen is a mystery. Can you give us a description of the stolen articles, Mrs. Perthwhistle? Grandpa frowned, rubbed his chin, then looked closely at the officer. Could you smile, please? He asked. Smile? Yes. A nice big smile. Officer Rat grinned sheepishly. No, said Grandpa angrily. I mean really smile. Officer Rate smiled broadly. Grandpa leaned forward, tapped on the officer's teeth with a finger and growled suspiciously. They look just like my teeth. Officer Rate looked shocked. I've had these for years. Officer Rate took us all down to the station for further investigation. Using Grandpa's description, police artists drew a picture of the missing teeth. They put up our wanted poster with all the others. We made copies and put them all over town. Officer Rate rounded up the usual suspects and took them in for questioning. All of them were asked to smile. Most of them had missing teeth as well, but just one or two, not a whole set. They even brought in unfriendly neighbor Mrs. Carbuncle because her own teeth didn't fit, but Grandpa's didn't recognize her or the teeth in the police lineup. "I've never seen her smile before," he explained to Officer Ray. After several days, Officer Ray had to admit that no teeth had been found, no thieves had been caught, and no clues had been uncovered. Grandpa suspected everyone, especially anyone who didn't smile. Soon the hotel was smiling back at him. Although he never smiled back, he had nothing to smile with. Mom even got a call from one of those TV shows, Unsolved Crimes. They came to the house with a helicopter. We had to reenact the whole thing. When Grandpa was interviewed, he asked reporter Pearl White if he could borrow some of her teeth. "After all," he mumbled, "you have more than enough." Dad called Switzerland to find out how much a new set of teeth would cost. He was so shocked to find out when he dropped the phone. "The only way we could ever afford it," he joked to Mom, "is to sell the house." Grandpa thought this was a great idea. Who needs a house? "Anyway," he moaned, "it doesn't help that you chew your food." To cheer him up, we all took Grandpa to an amusement park. It was a disaster. He took one look at the front entrance and burst into tears. Everyone watched Unsolved Crimes, but no one called Officer Ray, and the crime remained unsolved. Some spare teeth were left in a mailbox, but none of them fit properly. People began locking their doors at night, imagining the thief loose on the streets. No one knew who would be next, so fear gripped the town. The thief had to be caught, and soon. It seemed that the only way to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the teeth were in your mouth were your own was to smile broadly at every person you met. "All these teeth are not mine." Anyone who didn't smile was immediately dragged off to the police station for more questions and a chat with Officer Ray. So everyone began smiling at everyone else, all the time, everywhere, even at funerals. Because of Grandpa's teeth, the whole town was beginning to suffer. Tourists, seeing the endless sea of smiling faces, were too scared to get out of their cars. After a while, they stopped coming altogether. Dad's cafe, like the rest of the town, was losing business. The mayor called an emergency meeting. That night, for the first time that anyone could remember, the town hall was full. Speaker after speaker stood up to complain about the loss of customers and the constant strain of smiling all day, every day. Pastor Butter summed up the situation. "While I've always considered this to be a happy town, there are limits. No one wants to smile without a reason, and there aren't many reasons to smile in this town at the moment. It's time, I believe, to put a stop to it." The crowd cheered. Mr. Purthwhistle had one of the finest sets of teeth in the country, and he alone cannot afford to replace them. In fact, I alone could not afford to replace them either. But if every one of us put in $1 to the collection plate tonight, we would have enough money to buy 2 new sets of teeth. Most people put in $1. Others put in 2. At the presentation ceremony, Grandpa opened the package and revealed 2 new sets of brand new teeth. "Why are they different sizes?" asked the mayor. "Oh, only one of them is for me," replied Grandpa, popping out one of the sets into his mouth. "The other one is for Mrs. Carbuncle. Her teeth never fit properly, and she has such a pretty smile."
I can't sleep in our bed no more. Misery shakes me to the bone.
Grandpa was very happy with his new teeth. So was Mrs. Carbuncle. They smiled all the time. In fact, they were so happy that Grandpa's old dog Grump smiled too. For the first time ever. That reminds me of the time when my dogs ate my mother's dentures. That was great. It only cost us like $3,000 to replace them. Well, yeah, it's almost 8. And as much as I love reading, all the time, I actually have like tons of homework to do because I'm in college. Anyways, it is fall, y'all. I am super stoked. It is the fall equinox. On Halloween, there's going to be a brand new blue moon. Supposedly it hasn't happened in like a bazillion years or something like that. So, I will have Halloween books to read right around Halloween. Probably not on Halloween night. Let's be real, it's Halloween. But I will do some Halloween reading. I'm going to have some more fall books. I'm going to have some other costumes. We're going to make a grand old time of this month. I'm super stoked. And, yeah, we'll get in the fall mood. Maybe I'll have some pumpkin spice something. I don't know. Do they make martinis out of pumpkin spice? Who cares? Anyways, love you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye!